this month is a bit bittersweet for me because I was in a really deep depression. Contemplated suicide because there was just so much going on with my son. He's on the autism spectrum.
Okay. Okay.
And so back in 2016, I had to actually get a lawyer for him to get outsourced to another school district.
Okay.
And so I had to put my whole career. He actually got diagnosed at about age 7.
Okay.
I put my entire career on hold and I had to become an advocate for him.
Right.
But what tended to happen, I began to become awakened like in between the hours of midnight to 3 a.m. And I'm like, okay, God, what you got to tell me? I'm like, I got a new man. And I kept saying the word Love Link. I'm like, yeah, it's a new man. But that it wasn't. It was Love Link Entertainment that was being birthed.
So hold on.
And that idea,
hold on for a second. Hold on for a second, because there's a couple of things that you already hit on. First of all, the end of 2016 was an interesting year for me too. So I get that. My youngest son got super ill, like just one day, Friday he was at school, Saturday he was in a coma, like that literally that seriously. That happened in September, and then the end of November is well, let's just call it the departure of my husband. He left the household, right? And so I understand what the depression looks like. I understand how life can change just like all of a sudden, because that I mean, that's my truth. That's what happened, right? And so I get that part. But then you said something about you kept waking up between midnight and 3 o'clock in the morning. First of all, I was on medical duty with my child 24 hours a day, right? Still am to a real degree. Now there's 2 of them that have the same condition, so still am. I tell people all the time, since 2016, I have not slept a full night. So I can feel you on that. No, literally, I'm up throughout the night checking them for different reasons, but it's all related to their health issues now, right? But so I feel you on that. But when you said 12 to 3, there's something about those midnight hours where the Spirit of the Lord gets for real with you, right? So when you said that, I was just like, because when my grandmother, before she advanced to the next, in the middle of the night, we would get up, because I was staying with her, taking care of her, and we would get up and talk a lot. And I realized that even with my first pregnancy, in the middle of the night, those same hours, so there's something about being open when you really should be in the deepest level of your sleep. It's something about being open and being present with the Lord. So I just wanted to say that, being open and being present with the Lord when everything else, it's peace, be still, is what I keep on hearing, right? Because everything else is quiet and still in the night, right? And so there was something about being present with the Lord at that time of the night. So continue on. So you kept on getting these messages that was telling you Love Inc. And you kept thinking, oh, it's another man. But
right. So then I started seeing Love Link Entertainment.
Okay.
And I started going to stage plays and everything. And I'm like, okay, I got to get back in the game. So one of my favorite restaurants, Batter and Berries, I went there, and Kendra, the Family Soul, happened to be there.
Oh, okay.
And so I asked the owner, do you mind if I interview them? He was like, it's not a problem with me. You can ask them. And so I asked Patine, and he was like, okay. And so, he was like, you got your own company. I'm like, yeah, I just started interviewing and my life changed. It was a life-changing moment.
Okay. So what was it about that moment, though?
Because most people don't have the guts to really do it, because they were like, oh, you'll never get these celebrities to let you. I'm like, watch me. And so, man, I've been to so many high caliber events, and ever since then, and so it's no looking back.
So would you say it was the confidence and the belief that you had in yourself that lit some fire, and then once you knew that you could actually get it done, that there was no stopping you?
So God has always So this is what I tell people. Just as the GPS redirects you, so does the will of God for your life, right?
Girl, you better say that again. Say that one more time.
You're going to be rerouted.
Say that one more time. Say that one more time.
Just as a GPS recalibrates, so does the will of God for your life. Yes. He's going to make sure you get there. See, there are going to be situations that come across. You may have made some bad decisions, dating the wrong man or whatever, but you're still going to get there.
Yeah.
And so when it's something that just woke up with me, it just said, do it. Just do it. Don't wait for people to validate you. No.
You don't even know. You're speaking something into me right now that you don't even realize, because I just got finished telling one of my good girlfriends this morning, just about an hour ago. I said, girl, this is like the third time I've dreamt about this week. And it's about taking action on something. And this morning I almost canceled the live. And I said, no, I'm not going to cancel the live. I'm going to have to put pen to paper and start working on this thing this morning. And so that was one of the promises that I made to myself, that I was going to work on something. And then I looked at the list of all the other stuff I got to get done today. And I was like, I'll work on it maybe next weekend. So you don't realize that what you just said to me right now just made me realize, made me confirm, like with myself, like, nope, Monique, you need to get it done today.
Yeah.
So again, that's the procrastination that I was just talking about before you got on live with us or whatever. I was just speaking about how people will procrastinate, or how I've procrastinated in the past or whatever, and how it sometimes is my worst enemy, but now I'm trying to embrace it as my best friend, because it's teaching me a lesson about myself. And then I realized that right as soon as I said I was going to work on something, I went to go write it down, like on my to-do list, and there were 12 other things on there. And I said, if I don't get to it today, it'll be okay, right? When it's not, because when God drops something into you, right, and tell you to move on it, you really should move on it. Now,
you have to.
I'm not going to say drive yourself 911 crazy, where you 50-51, spreading yourself too thin, doing too many things.
Right.
But you should really listen to what is speaking to your heart. And this project that I'm talking about has been on my heart for years and years and years. And it's been one thing after the other. It's the reason why I couldn't put it out. But it really wasn't a couldn't. It was me. So I appreciate what you just said. Okay, so you start interviewing all of these great people, or well-known people, because we're all great, right? Well-known people, and so you got that book, and so then tell me, because I really want to hear about this, because a lot of us are moms. I'm a mother who actually had to advocate heavily for my children. And when I say heavily, I mean heavily for my children. And still do, right? Still do. I realize that some of the things that I do as a mom, especially mom with special needs children, right? And I used to be afraid of saying that, like that title, like special needs. Now I embrace it so much, because guess what? We all have special needs. Like you were just speaking about your son being on the spectrum. And what I really believe is we're all on some spectrum. We all are. How do you measure normalcy? What is it?
Ooh, that's deep, girl.
No, I'm serious. We all have some level of depression, some level of lack of self-love, some level of being told no so many times, from a child to a teenager to an adult. You know what I mean? That we have self-doubt. So many levels of insecurities, so many levels of immaturity, so many levels of, you know what I mean, of not understanding fully who we are and how we operate. There's no such thing as understanding fully who you are and how you operate. That won't happen until you advance to the next level. You're always at some point, and I keep saying levels, but at some level of discovering oneself, right? So if you're always evolving, always understanding yourself, right? Always working to understand yourself, then where are we measuring this normal person or this normal way of functioning or whatever? Oh, it's on a learning curve. On whose learning curve, though? On how we present ourselves publicly? or to what degree we test on something. And again, then where's the standard for that? Then we go right back to, oh, it's on the average American. Well, we already know that the average American don't even exist. We don't even know what the average American is. We really don't. Because everyone is presenting themselves to be a certain thing, right?
Yeah.
And so what I've learned through this journey, because my middle son, I actually got him tested 3 different times, like from his private doctor. He was in private school, got him tested, went to, there was a, oh gosh, I don't want to say it wrong, but our family doctor is Jewish, and there was a community center that she referred me to that would test too, even after she said, no, I don't think it's really anything, wrong. And I was saying, I don't think it's anything wrong. I'm just working on getting ahead of whatever it is that I see.
There you go.
Because I see that he's not operating the way the rest of the family does. And so now I check myself on that, right? Because he doesn't operate necessarily or make the same decisions that the rest of the boys make, doesn't mean that he's different, just means that he's himself, right? And actually that son is the son that's the deepest thinker. He is like, he thinks so. I tell him that he's had to have come to this world at least 2 times before, because he thinks like an elderly person, like for real, like an elderly person. Like a lot of times he sees things like black and white, and there's not a lot of gray in between it. It's like, nah, mom, you whatever. Nah, dad, you whatever. Like it doesn't matter the title that you hold. You are either right or you're wrong in his book.
Yeah.
And then after he thinks about it for a minute, he'll have a little bit of empathy and compassion for you. He'll go like, well, I can kind of understand that, you da-da-da-da-da, whatever it is. But flat out, he's going to tell you what's on his mind, what's on his heart. You probably get that from me. But as he matures and gets older, I'm like, there's nothing wrong with him. There's no label that's going to fit him. Hell, I might need a couple of labels. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So tell me about the process. I know I've gone into it, but I mean, there's so much here with you, and there's so much, right? There's so much, and that's the reason why I like meeting women and talking about them, because we all are experiencing so many things that keep us connected. So tell me the process or what happened with you and your son.
So step number 1, if you suspect anything with your child, you need to go to the special needs director to set up a meeting, and then they'll establish an IEP. Mm-hmm. Then you will have to get an evaluation from like a third-party source. I think I went to Rush and UIC. Mm-hmm. And then they had a paraprofessional come out to observe him in the classroom. Mm-hmm. And so that's when they made the final diagnosis. Mm-hmm. But the problem I was having was that the school system, when he was having meltdowns, they would call and say, you need to come pick him up. No, I don't. You need to do your job. Right. So that's when Equip for Equality came in. I had to get a special needs attorney to make them pay $14,000 a year to outsource him to a school for special needs kids that had sensory. Right, because I couldn't hold a job. I couldn't do anything because they were constantly calling me. The principal suggested I put him on medicine. They were trying to, and that's another thing. They'll bully you to make you try to put them on medication. They're overstepping their boundary. Mm-hmm. So just know that you have parents. If you listening, you have rights. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You can't let them just bombard you that way.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I have a relative, because I don't want to say too much about them. I have a relative, actually several relatives. I have a relative that's really popular. But I have a relative that has a younger child who is on medication for ADHD and AD, like all of these alphabets. And I'm like, all of us have an alphabet of some sort, right? And they made her put him on medicine that like zombied him, right? Like, and when I say zombied, it got to a point where I wouldn't even I couldn't even go to family functions where this child was, because it would literally break my heart on how I would see a 10-year-old who's walking around because they have put him on the medicine to normalize him, stabilize him. And I'm like, that's not normal either. Let his butt go run. I'd rather see him hopping around like a red hot jelly bean all around the place than to be sitting here not connected and seeming like there's a low brain function.
And then you can't even go cold turkey. You have to wean them off.
And then it has all kinds of other
and digestive too.
Side effects. It has
You have to have, and so the problem is ABA therapy is not covered by most insurances. Canada has one of the most high
ABA therapy.
ABA therapy.
And
no, that's behavior therapy.
What is it?
It's like behavior therapy.
Okay. Okay.
So, but the problem is most insurances in the United States don't cover it.
Mm-hmm.
So what you have to do is you have to find like a grant. I think Rush, they're working on a grant to help parents pay for the behavioral services. What I did was just Google the autism behavioral, like it's like a spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I did was just started implementing. So what you need to do with kids that way, you have to put them on a schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And they have to have visual. Everything has to have visual.
Okay.
And they don't like change.
Right.
They don't like change. Number one is having them in the best school, though. The best. They don't need to be in a classroom with like 20 kids.
Right.
And teachers that are getting frustrated because they're having meltdowns and throwing things at them. You know, because I had teachers pulling me to the side, like, can you tell your son to stop hitting me?
I can, but can't promise
what am I? Right.
Right. Right. Because it's not his intention to
it's not his
up
intention.
in the morning and say, I'm going to hit Miss Sally this morning. But in that moment,
right.
because there is a chemical and a mental imbalance there, right? Then he's
yes.
trying to communicate. And because he's frustrated within, then he is doing things to show his frustration. And just so happen, Miss Sally happens to be in the room.
Right.
You know?
And they also do a thing called elopement. You know, my son, he almost got hit by a car when he was about 10.
What is elopement?
It's called elopement. It's like an overreaction of the nervous system. Mm-hmm. Everything is sensory. So when they get overwhelmed, they just want to flee. Mm. And they don't care where they are, and they're not cognitive. And right. So I went through that for like 2 years, and thank God he's 14 now. He doesn't do that. He doesn't have meltdowns anymore.
He doesn't
can
have
express
any
himself.
Meltdowns anymore.
No,
he's
none.
Past it. He's not past it. And
but now what's happening is anxiety, just social emotional anxiety that you have, that even normal teenagers have.
Yeah, because I was going to.
Am I going to find a girlfriend?
Yeah.
I was like, don't worry about a girlfriend. You only 14. So those are the things like, and as far as reading aloud, actually, I put in a request for him to get tested for dyslexia.
Okay. Because
he's starting to, you know, read some words backwards. But I thank God those, but for like 5 to 10 years, I just had my hands tied. I couldn't do anything. Mm-hmm. I couldn't do anything. But now I'm starting to go on auditions again. And I actually have 2 projects out.
So wait a minute. Before we go to that, because I want to go back.
Okay.
Because one of the things that I remember when I was going through questioning whether or not my child was on the spectrum or what was going on with him, there was Holly Robinson Pete and there were Tisha Campbell. And they both have sons who are on the spectrum. And yes. I remember being, you know, just, and I'm not being funny, just because we're in the same places sometimes, you know what I mean, at the same people's homes and repeatedly, and I can't remember whose house we were at, but I ended up asking Holly the question, and she gave me, and she told me, she said, and this, I'm going to say this, I ended up sharing it with 2 of my other girlfriends, and I found something magnificent happen with this. I found that doing this exercise actually just helps you bond with your child even more. So it doesn't matter whether or not your child's on the spectrum or not. What I realized is that this actually helped me bond with my children more, right? And so one thing that she had said was, she was like, when they were going to therapy with her son, they said to do a lot of floor work. And I was like, what's floor work, And so she was like, and I'm paraphrasing it, but basically you get on the floor, you get to their level, right? And you're on the floor and you're doing things to engage with them. Because a lot of times, at least for my son, I thought that that he should be diagnosed with something because he didn't want to make eye contact. Some days he didn't want to talk at all. He would just line up his toys over and over again and play in his own world. And there would be tons of kids. Like there's 5 boys, right? So, he has 4 of the brothers, on it. So I'm like, there's plenty of people to play with in the house. And if we're having some function, he still would want to kind of be off on his side or either be like, he'd cling a lot to his father, but only in his own world. And so I realized that doing the floor work with him, getting down to his level, trying to make as much eye contact as possible, talking to him, or sometimes not even really too engaging, like not being too abrasive, you know what I mean? But just kind of just sitting back, but being at his level. Eventually he started coming to me, right? And what I realized was that we were bonding more. I thought that, I'm breaking through on something. And I'm like, even if I'm not breaking through on something like a label, you're breaking through to that person, letting them see that you are at the same level. You're not an authority. You're not, higher and mighty just because you have a title of being a mom or a grandma or an auntie or what have you. You know what I mean? You are at their level when it comes to being human, right? And that they can trust you. They don't have to look up to you. They don't have to fear you. They don't have to think that there's going to be some repercussion if they don't see, if they don't see you at a certain level, literally, like that you're higher than them because of your title or because of your birth, right? Or whatever, right? So I realized that at a human level, that the eye contact was just as much as important. Being in his face was just as important, playing at a level where he understood that he was being loved and respected was just as important. And so I realized that it was an actual bond that was being created. So when we think about our children and them being out of touch or out of sync or acting out or whatever it is that we think that's going on there, right? Part of it is natural. But the other part of it is that who do they see you as, right? And do they really feel safe? And I don't mean like safe like you're going to harm them, but do they feel safe to fully be who they are, right? And so what I realized is that doing that floor work, I continue to do it with the rest of my kids, even though, I wasn't trying to figure out if it was something wrong with them, right? I continue to do that floor work with them. And even now, my youngest one, he still expects me to get on the floor and play with him or talk with him. And he's always asking for hugs and things like that. But the connection is really there because of some exercise that I was doing to try to tap into what I thought my middle son was experiencing, like his own world. So I was working to tap into his world. And so that's super important. And what I keep on hearing, because you thought that you were getting a love, like a new man in your life or whatever, that work is just as important entering into a new relationship.
Ooh.
Right?
Yeah.
Do the floor work. Lay the foundation. Try to tap in to that person.
Yeah.
And not feel entitled,
Yeah.
And sometimes we do that. Sometimes we do that as women, right? Sometimes we do that because I always tell people I'm the prize, right?
You are, right. We all are.
And I really believe that. But at the same time, just in sharing that story with you, I kept hearing that though too. You might need to do that for your next relationship. So maybe it was for you, maybe it was for me, maybe it was for somebody else out there. Tap in.
Right. Investigate.
And tap
eye to eye like this.
Yeah, tap in.
Right.
Tap in. So tell me really quickly, so now you're having, your son is better. The house is functioning a little bit more at ease. You can put more time into you. Thank God, mommy. And so now you're having more success with your actual acting career, right?
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that. What's going on?
I have, it's a great filmmaker, Aretha Tatum. She came up with a script for a virtual script where we can just send in our part when the pandemic. One of the movies is No Contact Love. It's about a dating app. And the other one is called Socialist, is about social media addictions. And both of those projects are on the Lovely Entertainment Facebook page. Also, too, I'm writing a documentary about my experiences with my son. So I'm writing that. I want to get that all typed up and start pitching that project too.
Got it.
Yeah.
Well, definitely take a lot of home video. And have that as a point of reference. So tell the people one more time how they can reach you. If they're interested in any of your projects, how they can find those things and that before I let you go.
Okay, so Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter is at LoveLink Entertainment. YouTube is Brandy R. Love. LinkedIn is Brandy R. Love. TikTok is Brandy R. Love. And there's also the LoveLink Live, the talk show page, the brand new podcast page on Instagram, and the page on LoveLink Live, the talk show on Facebook.
Okay. If you don't mind, just go ahead and type that in, the Love Link Live, whatever you just said there, and then Brandy Our Love, because when you're saying our love, it sounds like our love.
Oh, our love. Okay.
You're saying R like Brandy R, the initial R, love. So type that in there, and then I'm gonna go ahead and try to pin that. And if you all are new to me, don't know who I am Monique Jackson. I'm a celebrity publicist, a brand strategist, a TV show creator, and so much more. I have worked with some of the biggest names in Hollywood, in sports, and in entertainment, and I'm still doing that. But now I'm also working with people like you and I am working with experts and entrepreneurs, helping them get the visibility that they need in order to grow their business, their brand, and of course, ultimately their bank account. So I've created a course called Getting the Press to Say Yes. And it is a course that does exactly that. It helps you get press to say yes to you. But even it does more than that. It actually awakening something inside of you that gets you to say yes to yourself. And that is a huge deal when it comes to entrepreneurship and just in life in general. I'm big on personal development and business development, and that course has had a lot of success. So if you're interested in getting the press to say yes, by all means, tap into the bio, right? But one thing that I have to talk about before I let you go is I am doing a 5-day challenge for the very first time. It's going to be a live 5-day experience with me. My mentor has challenged me to do a live challenge, and so I'm doing it, right? No more procrastinating. It's happening April 4th through April 8th, and there will be lessons, there will be lectures, there'll be maybe a guest appearance or two from some real experts out there, but more than anything, we are going to get results. So come, tap into the bio, click the link and join, because you can actually get in for the super low. So I appreciate you coming in, Brandy, and sharing with us today. I look forward to hearing more from you. And if you're interested in working with me, you guys, on anything PR, marketing, or any other wild idea that might pop up in your head, then definitely, follow me on Instagram, DM me, say what's up, and let's figure out what's happening. All right. In the meantime, you all go love on yourself today. And after you've loved on yourself, then go love on somebody else, call somebody, go see somebody, go do something, be safe. And tonight, after you said your prayers, wrap your arms around yourself and give yourself a quick little hug from me. All right. I love you guys with the love of the Lord. And I will be back, I think, later tonight at 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time to talk to another young lady. I am celebrating Women's History Month by sharing my platform with all types of women in all walks of life and entrepreneurship journey. I am dedicated to the woman entrepreneur this month. So please continue to join, spread the word, spread love, and I will see you later. Thanks so much, Brandy.